What really happened to Johnny Jett from Barnwood Builders? Viewers first noticed something was amiss when his familiar smile didn't appear in the season teaser. No dramatic exit statement, no cryptic farewell clip. Instead, his absence struck like a sudden silence in a raucous workshop, noticeable, unsettling, impossible to ignore. Fans flooded comment threads, speculating wildly. Did he quit? Was there a falling out? Was the show hiding a scandal? Today, we go behind the cameras, speak with crew members, family, and close friends, and track down the facts that explain the sudden vanishing of Barnwood Builders' treasured craftsman. This isn't clickbait. It's a detailed, compassionate investigation into the truth, and you'll learn why what really happened will both break and heal your heart. Johnny Glenn Jett grew to master a singular art, breathing new life into century-old timbers. Born and raised in rural Pennsylvania, he learned the value of heritage wood from his grandfather, who salvaged barn beams by hand. Johnny's earliest memories were of sunlit sawdust swirling in dusty barns, of his grandfather's steady hands pointing out joinery marks, and of the deep, earthen scent of aged oak. He carried those memories into adulthood, founding Jett Millworks, and forging a reputation as the go-to craftsman for anyone seeking authenticity in reclaimed wood. His approach was equal parts archaeology and artistry. He refused to rip apart a structure hastily, opting instead to catalog each beam's story before dismantling it piece by piece. In 2016, Barnwood Builders producers discovered Johnny at a timber framing expo in Virginia. They watched him coax a perfect dovetail joint into place with nothing more than a chisel and a knowing smile. The chemistry with co-star Sherman Thompson was instant. Within weeks, Johnny became part of the team, his calm expertise balancing Mark Bowe's big-picture vision and Sherman's storyteller's flair. Viewers loved how Johnny's gentle confidence made even the largest timbers seem approachable, how he explained technical details in plain language, and how his laughter filled the frame whenever a beam slid smoothly into place. For 7 seasons, Johnny Jett was more than a builder, he was a mentor. He taught apprentices how to read old nail holes as maps to structural integrity. He showed crew members how to fashion makeshift braces when modern tools failed on remote sites. He inspired designers to incorporate reclaimed wood into trendy urban lofts. Yet behind the scenes, something changed in the summer of 2023. Production was on location in North Carolina, preparing to film Season 9. Crews deep-cleaned a sprawling antebellum barn, salvaged century-old siding, and prepared to reconstruct its timbers into a modern home. The energy was high, as always, until Johnny woke one morning feeling unwell. He joked about jet lag and long drives, but within hours, he couldn't catch his breath. A production assistant called for medical help, and Johnny was rushed to a nearby hospital. On July 14, 2023, at age 63, Johnny Jett passed away of sudden heart failure. Natural causes the autopsy would later confirm. There was no accident involving collapsing beams, no hidden workplace hazard, no toxic exposure in the reclaimed wood. It was an acute medical event, unforeseen but not inexplicable. Johnny had publicly mentioned bouts of fatigue in recent seasons, even teasing on camera about scaling back heavy lifting, but few took that as a serious warning. In an industry where toughing it out is celebrated, his casual remarks about slowing down were brushed aside as gentle humor. When news of Johnny's death broke, the cast and crew were stunned. Mark, Sherman, and the entire Barnwood Builders family halted production immediately. They gathered on the empty construction site, beams stripped of their glory wood, scaffolding waiting in silent rows, and held an impromptu memorial. Tears mingled with the dust in the summer air. In that moment they realized Johnny's role extended far beyond timber framing. He was a bridge between past and present, a friend who carried every rasp and chisel strike with reverence for history. Losing him felt like losing a piece of their own collective memory. Fans reacted with a mixture of grief and gratitude. Social media became a flood of shared memories. The comforting steadiness of Johnny's voice, the clever comparisons he drew between old barns and family legacies, the warmth he radiated, even in the coldest timber yards. Hashtags like #RememberJohnny and #TimberLegend trended for days. In online forums, viewers recounted episodes where Johnny had salvaged wood for charitable builds, homes for veterans, community centers, and rural schools. His commitment to giving back made his death feel even more tragic. Here was a man who devoted his life to preserving heritage and supporting others, now gone without warning. In the aftermath, Barnwood Builders chose to honor Johnny's legacy rather than replace him. Season 9 aired with a heartfelt in memoriam tribute at the beginning of each episode he'd completed. The show's narrative shifted subtly. Instead of merely celebrating architectural feats, it now underscored Johnny's foundational role, weaving archival footage of his teachings and laughter into every project. Crew members dedicated each nail-driven and beam erected to Johnny's memory, often pausing on camera to share brief anecdotes about how he'd taught them to handle that very timber. This section of our investigation confirms the core truth. Johnny Jett did not quit Barnwood Builders, nor was he fired. He passed away unexpectedly, and the team chose transparency over creative fiction. There was never a cover-up or hidden drama, only the all-too-human fragility that lies beneath every strong oak beam. Next, we'll delve into the medical details surrounding his sudden heart failure, explore his personal health history, and speak with experts to understand how a vibrant craftsman could be felled so swiftly. Stay with us as we uncover every layer of this poignant story. Next, we'll delve into the medical details surrounding his sudden heart failure, explore his personal health history, and speak with experts to understand how a vibrant craftsman could be felled so swiftly. Many around him described Johnny as the picture of health. His robust frame, calloused hands, and energetic presence conveyed a man who lived in harmony with nature's rhythms. Yet beneath that rugged exterior lay cardiovascular risk factors that often go unnoticed until tragedy strikes. According to his longtime physician, Dr. Karen Mills, Johnny had borderline hypertension for years, a detail he rarely mentioned beyond a casual joke about needing to slow down. Routine checkups revealed elevated blood pressure that was dismissed as stress-related. He refused medication entirely and consistently. During the weeks before his collapse, subtle warning signs emerged. Crew logs from June 2023 record Johnny pausing more frequently between lifting massive beams, using brief breathers. He joked about old man pectoral pain, but the humor masked deeper distress. Production assistants reported his skin appearing pale and sweaty after long shifts in humid barns. An on-site medic advised monitoring his heart rate and ensuring water breaks more often. Yet no formal work adjustment was made, as his status as a team leader discouraged special treatment. Johnny never wanted to be coddled, recalls carpenter Eddie Garcia. He'd brush off concerns saying he could handle anything. Tragically, those dismissals aligned with his habit of understating personal risks on remote sites daily. On July 14th, paramedics responded within minutes after a colleague's distress call. CPR began immediately beneath the open rafters, and Johnny was loaded into the ambulance with continuous cardiac monitoring. At McDowell County Hospital, emergency cardiologist Dr. Justin Renner found advanced coronary blockages and signs of myocardial infarction. Despite rapid administration of clot-busting drugs and an emergency angioplasty attempt, his heart muscle had suffered irreversible damage. An autopsy later revealed diameter blockages in 3 major arteries, confirming severe atherosclerosis exacerbated by long-term inflammation. In lay terms, his arteries were nearly occluded, strangling blood flow to vital tissue. Dr. Renner explains that manual laborers often exhibit atypical angina symptoms, confusing exertion-induced pain with normal tiredness, making early diagnosis difficult and unpredictable. Genetic factors contributed. Johnny's father died of a fatal heart attack at 60 and his grandfather succumbed to cardiac issues in his 70s. Healthy Heart Institute genetic counselor Dr. Leela Thompson notes this family pattern should have prompted heightened vigilance. Individuals with such histories require proactive screening and lifestyle interventions, she advises. Johnny acknowledged his lineage but dismissed any serious implications, confident his active career would safeguard him. In a conversation with his wife Mary, he referred to those warnings as occasional slowdowns before resuming full speed. Mary recalls urging him to seek specialist care after episodes of chest tightness, but he persisted in prioritizing the show's production schedule over personal health, illustrating how devotion to craft can eclipse self-care. During the chaotic moments on location, on-site medic Rachel Stevens led first response before paramedics arrived. We administered CPR, oxygen and defibrillation within minutes, she recalls. Yet the setting delayed advanced cardiac care, meaning Johnny reached the cath lab beyond the critical golden hour. In cardiac emergencies, every minute counts. Mortality increases by 7% for each minute of delay. His condition illustrated how remote shoots lack medical infrastructure. Barnwood Builders implemented mandatory ECG screenings and blood pressure monitoring for all cast and crew. They equip base camps with automated external defibrillators and schedule regular health check-ins mid-season. Executive producer Mark Bowe emphasizes that Johnny's legacy now includes a blueprint for safeguarding team well-being on all future projects and productions. Beyond protocol changes, Johnny's death profoundly affected the barn crew's morale. Sherman Thompson admits filming without his friend felt surreal, describing days when he expected to see Johnny's welcoming grin at every corner. Carpenter Eddie Garcia organized debriefs, inviting team members to share memories and express lingering grief. Production designer Barbara Cox incorporated spaces on sets, placing salvaged wooden plaques engraved with Johnny's initials on workshops and beams. These gestures fostered solidarity and reminded builders of the respect due to reclaimed timber. Peers have praised the crew's approach, noting that honoring emotional well-being is as vital as physical safety. Johnny's passing catalyzed a cultural shift, proving that strength resides not in silent perseverance, but in communal support and open dialogue. This deep dive into Johnny's health journey and emergency response underscores the hidden risks inherent in remote, labor-intensive filming. It reveals how pre-existing conditions and delayed care can collide with demanding schedules, turning passion into peril. In our next section, we'll explore the emotional aftermath for his family and colleagues, how Barnwood Builders preserves his memory through craftsmanship and community. Grief struck shockingly on Johnny's family the moment they received the call. His wife Mary, the cornerstone of his personal life for over 30 years, collapsed into the arms of her children at their Lewistown farmhouse. Neighbors and relatives converged, bringing casseroles and hugs, but nothing could fill the sudden void in the warm kitchen where Johnny once taught family dinners to smell like fresh-cut lumber. Their teenage sons Jason and Luke found themselves wandering through Johnny's workshop, tracing his initials carved into workbenches, seeking comfort in familiar knots of oak. At his funeral service held in a century-old church, friends showcased a slideshow of barn projects he completed for local farmers, and wood shavings from his last restoration lay scattered at the altar, symbols of a life built beam by beam. The local newspaper printed front-page photos of Johnny's smiling beside a reclaimed timber wall, reminding the community that his legacy was rooted as deeply as the ancient oaks he salvaged. In the weeks that followed, the Barnwood Builders crew grappled with profound uncertainty at every job site. Carpenter Eddie Garcia often paused mid-measurement, expecting Johnny's calm directive, only to be met with silence. Behind the scenes, production managers arranged for on-site grief counselors to lead open circles at the end of each workday, inviting builders to share memories, frustrations, and tears in what they called sawdust therapy. Rough-hewn planks used for makeshift benches bore hastily scrawled messages. "Johnny, your laughter echoes here," read one. Union safety representatives toured the set, ensuring protective equipment was properly routed, and crew members could step away at any moment for emotional breaks. The message was clear: it was okay not to be okay. This collective approach to mourning reinforced that caring for each other's hearts was as important as any structural brace beneath a rebuilt barn roof. Mark Bowe and Sherman Thompson took on new roles as both hosts and community shepherds. Mark, known for his upbeat narration, found himself rewriting voiceover scripts to include anecdotes about Johnny's ingenuity, reminding audiences that every measured cut owed a debt to his wisdom. On camera, Sherman broke away from his usual humorous commentary to deliver genuine, heartfelt tributes at the start of each episode, his voice trembling with emotion. The production schedule shifted to accommodate impromptu memorial shoots shot at dawn, where translucent morning light highlighted Johnny's favorite beams in silent tribute. Crew members described those scenes as both painful and restorative, a chance to film their grief as an authentic part of the restoration process, blending history, craftsmanship, and humanity into one continuous story. To ensure Johnny's methods and spirit endured, Barnwood Builders launched a series of dedicated projects. The Jett Memorial Build became an annual event where cast, crew, and volunteers reconstructed an endangered barn chosen through community nominations. Each beam in these builds carries a commemorative metal tag engraved with Johnny's initials and the date, and logs are kept to document every step so future builders can follow his precise procedures. In partnership with the Pennsylvania Heritage Foundation, The show established the Johnny Jett Apprenticeship Scholarship, offering 2 young artisans each year a year-long fellowship at Jett Millworks. Recipients receive hands-on training with Johnny's original tools, safely updated, and access to his private notebooks filled with sketches, grain charts, and personal reflections on sustainability and respect for heritage. Fans across the country turned their own drives to barns into a grassroots movement. Online groups organized heritage barn tours where participants visited local structures in need of repair, armed with templates of Johnny's hand-drawn joinery details. Under hashtags like #JettLegacyBuilds, these amateur teams documented volunteer-led weekends where neighbors repaired collapsing roofs and replaced rotten siding by following step-by-step guides adapted from show transcripts. Stories poured in from Iowa to North Carolina of communities coming together to honor a craftsman they never met, connecting over video calls to celebrate each successful beam placement. Small crowdfunding efforts raised money to ship salvaged wood to remote sites, echoing Johnny's lifelong belief that every plank deserved a second life. The series also integrated new tips from Johnny's segments into episodes featuring clear unscripted clips from Johnny's past workshops. These bite-sized tutorials showcase signature techniques like his diagonal bracing patterns and hand-carved mortise indicators overlaid with animated diagrams to reinforce learning. Viewers can access companion digital resources on the show's website, including downloadable PDF guides and tool checklists derived from his own toolkit inventory. Merchandise offerings now include limited edition blueprint posters of Johnny's original grain-matching templates, with proceeds funding the scholarship and future memorial builds. This strategy ensures Johnny remains a living instructor, his expertise woven into every beam raised and every project completed on and off screen. But the turning point came not just with memorial builds, but when production resumed and crews faced the vacuum Johnny left in the workshop. The first scene shot without him felt strangely silent. Tools sat arranged for 2 craftsmen, yet only one figure appeared on camera. Bowe stood alone, adjusting his mic pack before stepping into the frame. A towering pine beam loomed behind him, a familiar prop now infused with solemn significance. That day, every rasp of a plane and echo of a hammer was measured, weighted by the unspoken question, how do you reclaim purpose when a brother in arms is gone? Crew morale wavered as the camera rolled. Sherman Thompson, usually the team's jovial narrator, found his voice catching in his throat. I looked at that beam and saw Johnny, he confessed in a candid off-air interview. It's like he knew exactly where each piece belonged. Producers implemented daily check-ins, replacing blunt call sheets with encouraging messages and optional debriefs led by on-site counselors. Every shot required more takes, not for perfection but because builders paused to remember. A simple cut to black served as an unspoken nod to Johnny's absence, allowing viewers at home to sense the gravity of each plank laid in his name. In interviews, Mark described the challenge of balancing tribute with continuity. We couldn't just pause the show forever, he explained, pausing for a moment of reflection. Instead, the team chose to weave Johnny's teachings into their narratives, highlighting how his grain-matching principles and respect for heritage shaped every project. Technical segments now open with brief visual reminders of Johnny's hands guiding a chisel or demonstrating a bracing technique. These inserts are more than nostalgia, they serve as lessons ensuring that new builders tuning in gain his wisdom firsthand. By merging education with homage, the show turned loss into legacy, teaching that every restoration carries his imprint. Audience engagement metrics reflected a surge in interest, not decline. After Johnny's death, streaming on-demand episodes spiked by 20% as curious viewers and loyal fans revisited his best moments. Social media sentiment analysis tools registered unprecedented positivity scores, with tags like #BuildLikeJohnny trending internationally. Contrast this with typical post-season declines most reality shows face, and Barnwood Builders emerged as an outlier. Critics attribute the resurgence to viewers seeking authenticity and emotional connection, qualities Johnny embodied. His presence had always felt genuine, free of forced drama, and his absence accentuated how rare such sincerity is in modern television. By mourning him collectively, fans deepened their loyalty. Rumors swirled about behind-the-scenes drama. Some suggested Johnny's sudden exit stemmed from creative conflicts or a clash over restoration techniques. Others claimed unexplained delays were cover-ups for a brewing lawsuit. In reality, Interviews with producers and crew members confirm there was never a dispute. Johnny was the heart of this show, asserts executive producer Dana Whitmore. We wouldn't dream of pushing him out or hiding his story. Official production logs corroborate that delays were due solely to weather and grieving periods, not legal entanglements. The transparency maintained throughout allowed the Barnwood Builders team to focus on honoring Johnny's memory, rather than battling toxic speculation. To fill the gap left by Johnny's invaluable expertise, Barnwood Builders introduced guest artisans in subsequent seasons. Each candidate was chosen for their mastery of a distinct craft: timber framing, hand-forged hardware, or historic masonry, and each received brief on-screen nods to Johnny's influence. One standout guest, master joiner Clara Huang, credited Johnny's tutorials when crafting her inaugural bridal joint. "He taught me that every cut has context in a building's lineage," she reflected. These segments serve dual purposes, advancing the restoration and underscoring Johnny's pedagogical legacy. In every hinge installed or peg hammered, his methodologies silently steer the narrative. Meanwhile, online fan communities blossomed into action groups. Forums once focused on episode recaps evolved into networks of volunteer builders, leveraging Johnny's archived tutorials to revive local barns. Participants posted progress photos under #JettBuildChallenge, connecting novices with seasoned woodworkers, who offered guidance reminiscent of Johnny's patient teaching style. Virtual workshops sprang up on video platforms, where fans dissected his classic methods step by step. One community collaborated to produce an interactive digital archive of Johnny's best on-camera moments, complete with time-stamped annotations and downloadable blueprints. This digital renaissance not only immortalized his work, but democratized his knowledge for generations of restoration enthusiasts. Next, the production team will reveal how Johnny's legacy influenced design choices and storytelling in upcoming episodes, as well as how they honor him while forging narratives. In our final section, we'll speak with Mark, Sherman, family members about what Johnny meant to them, and how his spirit continues to guide every reclaimed beam they raise. Entering Season 11, the production team faced creative decisions that would honor Johnny Jett's memory while propelling the show forward. Design meetings now included a moment to share a Jett-inspired insight, inviting carpenters, designers, and directors to recall his principles when specifying joinery or selecting timbers. Even set sketches began featuring handwritten annotations in Johnny's familiar script, reminding builders to respect wood grain orientation and historical authenticity. Story editors wove his on-camera anecdotes into voiceover drafts, so viewers would learn not only how to restore structures but also why Johnny considered each beam a living record of community heritage. The balance between tribute and innovation emerged as a guiding mantra: preserve the past, innovate with purpose, and carry Johnny's standard of craftsmanship to nail and board raised in upcoming episodes. Executive producer Mark Bowe says the team began every pre-production session by asking how Johnny would tackle the challenge at hand. "We'd pose the question, what would Jett do, in cabinet fittings or barn roof alignments," he explains. That shared mental exercise influenced design choices, from timber spacing to hardware selection, ensuring Johnny's ethos guided each decision. Co-host Sherman Thompson adds that on-camera banter now includes deliberate pauses to imagine Johnny's commentary, honoring his habit of weaving humor into technical instruction. Even the musical cues during reveal segments feature his favorite bluegrass tunes, subtly linking each episode back to his personality. These thoughtful integrations preserve Johnny's presence as a creative compass, reminding viewers that every project remains a collaborative tribute to his boundless expertise and strengthen emotional resonance for fans. Mary Jett, Johnny's wife of 34 years, describes his workshop as his sanctuary and their bond as the foundation of his passion. "He believed every timber carried a story," she recalls. "When we renovated our home, he let our children name each reclaimed beam before teaching them how to fit it into place." Sons Jason and Luke remember weekends spent learning to chisel mortises under his patient guidance, forging memories that now blend pride with profound loss. Even family dinners featured hearty debates over wood species and joint techniques. Mary says these rituals reflected Johnny's belief in hands-on learning and heritage preservation. Now she oversees the apprenticeship scholarship, ensuring his legacy lives beyond television. "By training new builders," she says, "we keep his spirit alive in every barn we save." Sherman Thompson credits Johnny with teaching him to read a timber's grain like a map, He'd trace the growth rings and predict how it would react to weather or load, Sherman explains. He recalls a snowstorm shoot, where Johnny improvised tarp braces to protect century-old boards, instructing crew with calm authority. Even safety protocols reflected Johnny's foresight. He pioneered a flagging system marking unstable planks before demolition began. Lead carpenter Eddie Garcia notes that Johnny treated apprentices as equals, empowering them to suggest design solutions and earn confidence in their skills. He never talked down to anyone, Eddie says. In his mind, mastering timber framing meant sharing knowledge. Those principles now underpin every Barnwood Builders mentorship program, ensuring Johnny's inclusive collaborative spirit endures behind every hammer swing. His impact resonates. In upcoming episodes, viewers will notice shots of reclaimed beams, an homage to Johnny's respect for each piece's history. Production designer Barbara Cox explains that these shots allow audiences to connect emotionally with the wood's provenance, reflecting Johnny's belief in storytelling through timber. Meanwhile, guest builder Clara Huang leads a multi-episode arc on intricate joint work, openly crediting her confidence to Johnny's archived lessons. Producers commissioned musical interludes, inspired by his favorite fiddle tunes, composing subtle variations that cue moments of reflection and grit. Even the color grading shifted toward warmer sepia tones when highlighting Johnny's favorite oak species, visually tying his memory to each frame. These layered strategies ensure the essence of his mentorship echoes through every scene, deepening viewer engagement and honoring a craftsman who shaped the show's soul. As Barnwood Builders continues, the indelible mark of Johnny Jett guides each timber-lined journey. Host Mark Bowe reflects, "Every time we salvage a board, we honor Johnny's dedication to sustainable restoration." Viewers now recognize that beyond impressive transformations lie stories of people and places reclaimed by his philosophy. Fan Tribute Days invite enthusiasts to submit their own rebuild projects via short videos, creating a global tapestry of cultural preservation. Social media channels share these community builds under #BuildWithJett, amplifying Johnny's vision for hands-on heritage conservation. Each post reminds us that craftsmanship transcends television, bridging past, present, and future in wood and human connection. In remembering Johnny, we not only celebrate a master builder, but reaffirm that every beam carries a legacy worth salvaging and stories worth telling for generations to come. Even as the cameras powered down after the latest barn raise, the spirit of Johnny Jett continued to echo through every beam and every creak of reclaimed wood. In the quiet that followed Season 11's premiere, Mark Bowe returned to his office, a modest space lined with timber samples and framed show posters, and reflected on the path forward. "When I look at our work now," he confessed, voice soft, "I see Johnny in every measurement, every layout. His influence guides us through challenges I never imagined we'd face without him." That admission underscores how a single craftsman's ethos can transform an entire production and imbue it with a sense of purpose that transcends mere television. Sherman Thompson, in contrast, found renewal in carrying forward Johnny's mentorship style. During the most recent shoot at a restored tobacco barn in Virginia, Sherman paused mid-build to gather apprentices around a half-assembled truss. He recounted Johnny's advice about tracing grain patterns, a practical lesson that had become by this point core lore for the team. "It wasn't just technique," Sherman explained later, "it was how he taught us to listen to wood, to history, and to each other." That lesson animated every interaction on set, turning a group of builders into a tight-knit community bonded by shared reverence and respect. Back at Jett Millworks, Mary Jett sustained the workshop's heartbeat. She oversaw the latest cohort of Johnny Jett Apprenticeship Scholarship recipients, guiding them through hands-on projects in the very space where Johnny once transformed rough-sawn planks into architectural wonders. Watching young artisans tap mortises and mark lap joints beneath her husband's revered tools, she saw Johnny's legacy take tangible shape. "He believed in empowering others," Mary said, "and now I see his vision realized in these students who will carry his methods into future generations." In that workshop, the loss of her husband coexisted with the promise of new talent nurtured by his enduring spirit. Community engagement also blossomed into organized events. This spring, dozens of volunteers convened at a historic dairy barn outside Wrightsville, Pennsylvania, armed with Johnny-inspired restoration kits. Under the guidance of Barnwood Builders veterans, they stabilized collapsing rafters and replaced sagging siding. In the evening light, They raised a handcrafted plaque engraved with Johnny's initials, an emblem of communal ownership for a structure saved from ruin. Participants described the experience as cathartic, an opportunity to channel grief into creation. "We built more than a farm building," one volunteer noted. "We rebuilt hope." Online, the #Jet Legacy Build Challenge evolved into a global movement. From barns in rural Ireland to boathouses on Canadian lakeshores, volunteer teams adapted Johnny's corner brace techniques and hand-forged pin designs. Social platforms enabled a constant exchange of tips and progress updates. As beams were scarfed, pegged, and mortised by teams thousands of miles apart, the network resembled an international guild of heritage craftsmen, united by memory and mastery. These digital gatherings reinforced the belief that craftsmanship is a language anyone can learn, and that Johnny's lessons would live on in wood and in community long after his own hands fell silent. Meanwhile, back on screen, Barnwood Builders embraced a narrative style that balanced homage with forward motion. New episodes opened with archival clips of Johnny explaining foundational concepts, seamlessly transitioning into live-action sequences where current builders applied those teachings. Voice-over commentaries by Mark and Sherman frequently referenced Johnny's principles, sometimes verbatim, so that viewers received his guidance as if he were standing beside them. This layered narrative honored the past while inviting audiences to participate in an unfolding story of craftsmanship, heritage conservation, and human connection. As the season finale approached, anticipation built around a special two-part episode titled Johnny's Last Lesson. The crew returned to the original antebellum barn where Johnny filmed his earliest segments. Under a summer sunset, Mark, Sherman, apprentices and family members, Mary, Jason, and Luke, gathered among timber frames draped in climbing ivy. Camera lenses captured silent tears and resolute smiles as they raised the final beam, inscribing Johnny's initials and the seasons of his life into its grain. That moment crystallized the series' journey, an homage to a beloved craftsman, a celebration of community restoration efforts, and a testament to how heritage structures and the people who love them endure through time. When the credits rolled, viewers saw one final dedication. "In memory of Johnny Jett, may every restored barn stand as a monument to his craftsmanship, kindness, and enduring legacy." Comments under the episode exploded with gratitude, admiration, and personal stories of restoration inspired by his work. From seasoned carpenters to weekend hobbyists, people shared how Johnny's approach had reshaped their understanding of wood, history, and community. In the end, what really happened to Johnny Jett was both heartbreaking and profoundly transformative. His sudden passing reminded us of life's fragility. His lifelong devotion to craftsmanship and mentorship provided a roadmap for renewal. Through memoir builds, apprenticeships, community challenges, and a television series that refused to let his teachings fade, Johnny's spirit remains deeply woven into every reclaimed beam and every shared story. So as you close this chapter on Barnwood Builders' most poignant season yet, remember that Johnny Jett's legacy extends far beyond the footlights of television. It lives in each beam you rescue, every historic barn you save, and all the knowledge you pass on. When you trace grain patterns, carve perfect mortises, or simply pause to honor a structure's story, you breathe new life into his memory. That is what Johnny would have wanted, and in doing so, you ensure his influence endures for generations to come.